Hari Om, welcome. Happy Diwali to all of you. Today we are really indeed fortunate and honored that we have Shri Niren Chaudhary, the Chief Executive Officer of Panera Bread, and his beautiful wife, Aditi Chaudhary. I had the opportunity of watching the movie, The Sky is Pink. It is about the challenges that they have gone through in their lives, along with their beautiful daughter, Aisha, who actually passed away in 2015 due to a very rare condition. I also had the opportunity to watch her TED Talks, and it was overwhelming for me. And also read her little epiphanies, as well as watched your inspirational talks as well. You know, I was thinking about it as I was getting ready for this, and it is indeed fortuitous that this Diwali Gala, we've called it the Lamp of Life. So in fact, I felt like your lives, along with the message of Aisha's life, is like a bright beacon of light, which is a source of inspiration, source of motivation and guidance to so many people.
Namaste Niren ji and Namaste Aditi ji, and thank you so much for being here today with us at Chinmaya Mission Boston. You know, for this entire chat today, we would like to focus on some of the points that you have gathered from learning about you, such as passion for life, gratitude, acceptance, and life's purpose. So I think I'll ask Shashiji to, be the lead question for you.
I know your daughter Aisha is a source of inspiration to you, but what specifically is that in her life which has become such a driving force in your life? So either of you, I know for both of you she's been that.
Well, thank you very much for inviting us here. It's such a privilege and honor to be part of this event. And yes, Aisha continues to be an incredible inspiration for us and many, many people across the world. And I think what's unique about Aisha is that what I find most inspiring is that she achieved so much by focusing on what she had control over and not spending her energy on what was happening to her. That was her incredible innate sense of courage, of, doing seemingly impossible things with just that singular act of courage, of focusing, what is it that I can do, and not what's happening to me. And I think that's probably the singular most important thing that continues to inspire me. Whenever I'm feeling down and out, I say, okay, when the noise becomes deafening with all the troubles, I just ask myself, what can I do? And that is simple and yet profoundly encouraging.
On the same lines, Niren ji, we humans tend to forget that our biggest blessing and our gift is life itself. And we think of all trivialities that we go through in life. What are these, significant points that you could tell us that would, that we could remind us of this beautiful gift as we go through each day?
I'll take that one. Sure. I think, we are... society has done us a disservice by, limiting life to just this life. If you really think about life, there has been life for generations now. So many generations have gone before us. So I really like to think about life, as a microcosm. I am the microcosm of this really vast macrocosm. And I love standing in front of the ocean and, looking at how small I really am. I think that kind of shifts my perspective to what am I really here to do? I'm just here to be part of this massive macrocosm. So what are the little things I can do? That's enough. The fact that I'm sitting here breathing and interacting, that's enough. I think it's about knowing that this is enough and not searching for something larger than, and I really think for me, my faith in God has really held me. But interestingly, Aisha never really had any kind of faith. She never really talked about faith. She just focused on, like Niren said, what can I do?
I think What I learned from Aisha and generally on Aditi's journey as well with her was the power of having a spirit of gratitude. And I think gratitude is seemingly the lens through which you can discover everyday miracles. And if you just remind yourself every day to just apply that lens and then look at life around you, there's so much to be grateful for. All the people that we love, like all of us are so, just to be here, to be alive, to be well, to be in this country, doing what we're doing is a tremendous good fortune for us. So I think reminding ourselves to look at life through the lens of gratitude, appreciating what we have, but also what has not happened, which could be bad. And in fact, I'm reminded of, you used to do that with Aisha, right?
Yeah, I used to do this with Aisha every day. Like, we used to go to bed always counting 10 blessings. That was our thing at the end of the night. And she became so unwell towards the end. We couldn't come up with what should we be grateful for. So I told her, let's be grateful for the bad things that haven't happened today. And so that's what we used to talk about, And you didn't mention my son, but our journey was made very beautiful because we have this son who's very, very calm, collected, his strength, And when Aisha was little, she would say, but why is he okay and I've got this problem? And I used to always tell her, you can be very grateful that you have a brother who's there for you, or you can just keep looking at him and saying, why does he have something I don't have? The choice is yours, and whatever you want to do, we will do that. You can sit here and you can just moan. That's fine too. I think our parenting was very much, you are in charge. And I think that is like a shift in how you bring up your children. Rather than saying, you have to do that, you have to do that. It's about giving the reins of their life to them pretty early on,
This is, phenomenal teaching. I mean, just this answer, just answered so many of our usual trivialities as to how to shift the perspective and, look at parenting, look at life individually.
There's a very beautiful saying that life is a gift, but living is an art. And I know that your daughter was a wonderful artist as well. I've seen some of the paintings, amazing. And she actually embodied that, right? So how can our youth understand that? Because I'll tell you, they get so caught up in their own little world and their ups and downs. And how can they take some strong messages from her, the way she handled things,
I think there's this lovely talk, it's another TED talk by Ken Robinson. He talks about how our urbanized society, our schooling, it actually kills our creativity.
Yes.
And he's written a wonderful book called The Element. And when I read that, I realized how important creativity is as part of our lives. And that is why I realized that I must encourage my kids to be creative. And our son is creative. He's a musician. He's a very bright engineer, master's in engineering design, but he has chosen to be a musician. And I think creativity heals the soul. And we've stopped focusing on the soul. We keep focusing on every day, what is she wearing, what is he doing, what is he achieving, what am I achieving? But I really like to keep my eyes upwards, and then look downwards. So I just think creativity is so important, and we as parents and as human beings must find creativity in our lives and build it into our lives, And I'm really glad that both my children were able to do that. With Aisha, she had nothing left to do. She couldn't do anything. So I think the first art materials were bought only so that, she could do something. But how much healing there is in creativity. Because if you look at nature, there is so much color, there's so much beauty, everything is unique, and I think we've stopped valuing uniqueness. I think we are always looking for everybody to be a CEO, everybody to be this famous musician, And I always ask my son, I'm like, are you happy doing what you're doing? And he's like, yes. And we are fortunate that he can do it, But I think one must aspire to do that, to bring creativity and joy into your life. Like I like to ask, I ask myself every day now, have you done something today to replenish yourself and be happy that gave you joy, that you did for you? We are always teaching our children to keep doing something for achieving something. And I think that's not important. There are bigger things to chase.
I love listening to his song that he composed for her, chewing, I think, chips or something, eating chips, that noise in the background. I loved it.
Yeah, I think that's a tremendous observation. So, Ishan used to listen to her laughing, eating chips, even breathing through the oxygen. And he had a recorder, and he used to record all these sounds. And the song that he's made in the movie for Aisha, he's embellished that song with many of those memories. But what Aditi was sharing, it reminded me of a very powerful story, which I think the parents out here will really relate to, which is before Aisha passed away, I was a classic Indian parent. Study hard, become something, and do music on the side, you know. But when Aisha passed away, he came to me and he said, Dad, he was an engineer. He said, you know, any of us can die at any time. But I'll tell you what, if I die tomorrow and the only thing I had done in life was being an engineer, I would be miserable. But if I had spent even 1 hour making music, I'd die happy. So I told him, well, say no more, you're becoming a musician. And I think the job of a parent really is to ensure the happiness of their children, as long as, of course, they do it seriously.
Yes.
You know, they pursue happiness seriously.
Yes.
I think that's probably the way to fuel creativity, you know, which is there's no one expression of success. I think it's fulfilling your potential. So.
Yeah, I enforce that. I think boundaries are so important for children. You know, you can't do it limitlessly. You have to give them a framework to work in. That's a parent's job. Yeah.
So that brings me to the next question. Our founder, Swami Chinmayananji, would always say, youth are not useless, but they're used less. So he would always say, harness the dynamic potential of the youth, he would say. And so any thoughts on that? And I mean, you're already sort of leading us to that by trying to see that they are happy with what they're doing with boundaries, as you said. Any other ideas, any other suggestions for our youth?
Yeah, well, you know, one of the things I love doing, I'm really inspired by learning and by having an impact. And I think the best form of learning is teaching. And I love finding opportunities in teaching young minds and leaders of the future at colleges and schools and speaking to them. And I'll tell you why I love that the most is because this is the future of the world, right? And I find that they are still not cynical. They still believe. And that to me is everything. And they believe that the future will be much better than what we have right now. And as long as we have that, and which only happens with the youth, you know, and as we get older, you know, become more and more cynical, etc. So I think being able to hold on to that and to nurture it, to respect it, and then to, you know, inspire that desire that the youth have to make this world a better place is incredibly powerful.
I just wanted to add there that, you know, we as parents, especially growing up in India, it's very much, you know, doctor ban jao, become an engineer, become this, you know, we want our children to have success and money and power and fame and, you know. But I used to always tell my son, Ishan, that life is about balance. So if you're the best student in the school, doesn't really light my fire. I would like you to be a very well-balanced individual, you know. And one of his favorite awards for me is when he got what is called the Scholar Athlete Award, you know. And I love that award of his because I just feel life is about balance, you know, and children do individuate, especially when they're, you know, in their teens. They do rebel, and that's how the world changes, you know. So I enjoy rebellion also, you know. I just feel that's amazing because you're your own person. But that's hard. That's really hard for parents. And I think we have to educate ourselves to be able to educate them and help them fulfill, you know, their potential. And I think as parents, we have to value the uniqueness of each child. You know, I had 2 children. There was Aisha at the growth spectrum, which was -1%. There was Ishan, who was like 101%. So I've had 2 very diverse children, and they both had their challenges very differently. But I think that's what parenting needs to understand. Parents need to understand that each child is unique and different, you know.
Very nice. Both of you are so strong internally. And how does one, and you've also gone through very tough times with, Aisha and even before that. So how does one not get overwhelmed and crushed and defeated, in these difficult times? And how does one overcome these difficult times and become more powered through these experiences?
I really believe that which does not kill you makes you stronger. You know, I really believe that. And we've used music quite a lot to help us. I mean, I used to sing this song, We Shall Overcome Someday. I used to sing it endlessly, literally psyching myself into believing that this was going to work. There's so many different things that one can do. But I think having faith in something, anything, I think you need faith, some sort of faith. Whether it's a lifestyle or a way of life or, the mission or Christianity. I really feel that my faith really grounded me, And knowing that I think we all have a little bit of megalomania in us. It's like, I am so powerful. How has this happened to me? I think it's about being humble also and knowing that you're not all that important actually. When Aisha used to say, why is this happening to me? And I used to say, but why shouldn't it happen to you? My question became, why not? What is so great about me that it shouldn't happen to me? Yeah, it's about being humble, I think.
Aisha, writes in her book, if you can't change your own life, there's always somebody else's. And I think in that little nugget lies, a lifetime of wisdom, which is true happiness lies in the act of giving, and giving with generosity of heart. And I think we all know that those of us who are able to practice that find some kind of inner peace. The other realization that I had, that because I was very crushed by the loss of my daughters, and I still am, but the realization I had was the only way to the other side is by first learning to love and forgive yourself. And it's only when you say it's okay and you forgive yourself and you learn to love yourself again, are you in a position to love other people and to make a difference in their lives. So actually it starts with yourself. You have to really go in and really heal yourself by loving yourself. And by that I mean, indulging yourself in whatever makes you happy, whatever it might be. So I think those have been perhaps two of the ways in which, I've tried to sort of step through it.
I think also giving is very, very important. Like in our family, we go to the orphanage, and I like to take my children there to show them that there is another life. There are we are so unique. Our situations are so unique. We have something and we don't have something, and that's okay because there are everybody is like that. It's knowing that we're all pretty similar in some ways,
So how do we define success in life then?
I really like my children to define their own success. Like, sometimes Niren will ask me, he's a doer. He's constantly doing something. He's achieving something, So a lot of my friends ask me, they're like, don't you get a complex? He's like constantly doing something. I said, for me, existing is success. That I'm sitting here today, I'm Siddh. I've done it. If I got dressed today, that's enough for me. So it's about setting small goals. Like even Aisha, when she couldn't do stuff, we would be like, so what is it that you can do? So one day she said, Mom, I can just sit and I can put a smile on my face. I can't do anything else. So I was scratching my head. I was thinking, so what can you do with that? And then I realized, she can just model. She can just be a model. She can sit in a chair and she can smile and look pretty. You have to find that thing, but there is, and I think we are also very judgmental. We are taught to judge things as good and bad all the time. So I used to do this exercise with her. I used to tell her, today we are not going to say a single sentence that is judgmental. If you try that, it's very hard to do. It's like, don't judge things as good and bad. Very difficult to do. But actually that way of being, just being empty and non-judgmental, is just beautiful.
I think for me, one of the things I realized with Aisha's passing was that we're all mortal, we're all going to die. So I resolved that I'm going to have a blast. For as long as I'm on this earth, I'm going to live life to the fullest and express my desire for excellence in every single thing I do. And every day is a gift, and I'm going to get up, and I'm not just going to waste my effort or my time. And that's why Aditi jokes about it, but it's like half true. Like I love sports, I love music, I'm pretty full on. But my desire is not to just dabble and participate, but to really strive for excellence, because I believe in doing so, I'm honoring who I am. And my sense of success is basically living up to my full potential. That when I finally hang my boots, I feel, okay, I lived my life really well.
See, different definitions of success, and I think that's the key. Beautiful. How do you define your success? Define it for yourself. And then try and achieve that, and only that, and see how you feel then.
Both of you are giving such inspiring messages in each and every thing that you're saying, and that resonates so much to our Vedantic values, and that's exactly what we learn at Chinmaya Mission every single time. And I'm in each and everything that you're saying, it's pushing those values forth, and I'm learning as you say those things. Even after being here for so many years, I'm still learning those things from you, just listening from you. Very nice.
So as I think you already said this, the very learning we do here at the mission, the message of Vedanta is finally to become positive contributors to society. That's the key. So you have been doing this giving back in every way now, inspiring so many people with your talks, giving back to society in so many ways. So any further thoughts on that?
Yeah, I really feel that leadership, especially if you're leading in corporate and enterprise, you have a bigger ability to impact. And I think leaders have to be force multipliers of good. And I think just picking on my earlier idea of what Aisha said, focus on what you can do. So one of the really big thoughts I have is, why can't I make the companies that I steward a shining example of the world that I wish to see? Because I have complete control in the companies that I steward. So in these companies, I want these companies to be diverse, inclusive, tolerant, loving, and focused on having a strong impact agenda on the community and on the planet. Because it's completely in my control and in the control of my associates and employees in the enterprise. So I think the way in which we show up every day in the brands in which we steward and make our sort of little ecosystem a shining example of what we would love to see outside, I think that's how change begins, And if many of us take that ownership to, in our own piece of the world, to behave in that fashion, that can be a significant catalyst to change things. So I think that's one opportunity, one way in which I'm attacking it.
I had heard this lovely story that somebody asked God, what is the difference between heaven and hell? So he says, come with me, and he takes him to this room, and there's a big table, and there's a big bowl of soup, and there are people sitting around, and they have these ladles that are too big, so they can't feed themselves, they can't get it to their mouth, and they're all emaciated and looking miserable. And then he takes him to another room. It's the exact same room, same long ladle, same soup, but everyone's looking happy and healthy because they're all picking up the soup and feeding somebody else. And I think there is something about giving, that is very, very healing. And I think human beings, which very few people tell us, I was very surprised when I learned this, that human beings have an innate need to give. Giving is an innate need we have. That is the reason people have children and want children. They have pets. They want to give. I think giving is, and being there for others, is the key to happiness. It is not achieving only success for yourself. It is definitely about that. And the more you do it, the more nourished and happy you become.
So at this point, you're very clear about the purpose of your life. Would you like to share that with us?
Well, my purpose is, to inspire myself and those around me to be the best version of ourselves every single day in whatever we do. And that's what I want to sort of wake up every morning and recommit myself every single day to bring it to life. So I think not only excelling myself, but also inspiring that in those who are around me. So that's meaningful for me.
My purpose of life, I became a mental health therapist because my purpose in life, I realized after Aisha's transplant, was to touch a life a day. So I used to design software and I used to just talk to my computer, and I was happy doing that and I was really good at it. But I realized, when I saw Aisha in hospital and went through those 5 years of isolation with her, I had a lot of time to think about my purpose in life, and I thought I cannot die and tell God that, I spoke to a computer, I told it what to do, much as I was so good at it. And then I started retraining, and I really literally like to touch one life a day. For me, that is the purpose of my life. And sometimes I think it also changes every day. Some days it is only to exist. The fact that I'm sitting here, I'm happy with that for that day. So it changes almost every day, my purpose of life, but largely that's my purpose of life. It is to just be here and impact the world in whatever way I can and take really good care of myself and the people I love. Yeah.
Both of you have been, positive contributors to the society. And again, I'm, reiterating that this is exactly what we learn at Chinmaya Mission, and in Vedanta. So to conclude this chat today, what are some of the key messages that you would like to give, to our audience?
For me, the key message is trust the universe. I have one saying which I learned as part of my training as a touch healer. It's a practice called Jin Shin Jitsu, and one of the sayings they have is trust in the universe. All is harmony. I really believe the universe comes only to harmonize, and that is the only reason it's here for so long. So for me, that's the key belief. All is harmony, and when you can accept that, no matter how bad things are, I think you're at peace. And I think non-judgmentalness is very, very key. And they have another saying, which is we is one. Not will be, can be, but we is one. And I think true self-actualization is when you can look in somebody's eyes and just see yourself. Because it's just the I am, and everything else is an illusion. As it is for me, so it is for you. Yeah.
Well, I think there are many things that come to mind. But I think in today's environment and the context of the country and the culture and the difficulties and the global conflict and everything that we are seeing, I would really encourage everybody to not just focus on building their competence and intellectual abilities, but to deepen their spiritual connection and build strength of character. Because I really believe that leaders who can be trusted, who have a sense of integrity, and in other words, have character, are unfortunately not those many. And I think the future will be better if many of us who are listening to this can take that ownership for themselves and say that I will deepen my spiritual connection because through that I will build a strong character.
It's amazing because these are all wonderful spiritual messages. You both are living spirituality. I really mean it because this is what we learned here at the mission. This is what Swami Chinmayananda wanted for every one of us, including the children who enter here. So thank you very much, Nirenji and Aditi ji, for being with us today. And we would like you to light this lamp because it is Diwali celebration here. And also, I feel like this is the celebration of wonderful lives of people like Aisha. May her beautiful life light the hearts of everybody with inspiration and joy.
Thank you. We are hoping to release her documentary now called Black Sunshine Baby. And we are hoping that will help the world, to have hope through multiple losses.
It just makes us so positive when you hear about her and see about her, learn about her. And I'm really grateful that you're here. Please come and light the lamp. Thank you.